So I don't cover too many stories like this, but I thought I'd cover this one, and hopefully I'll do more of these in the future, because this is something that not too many people talk about, especially on YouTube, just due to the nature of how YouTube now does their rules in terms of basically, a lot of videos that talk about war or the thing that I'm going to be talking about now get sort of buried in the search results and different things like that. It takes longer to hit sub boxes. I've definitely seen that from channels like Secular Talk. But there is a man in Saudi Arabia who is an atheist who is now going to be executed, which is remarkable. And we're going to get into multiple fronts here. But the International Business Times reports on this, saying a Saudi Arabian man who renounced Islam and made disparaging remarks about the Prophet Muhammad has been sentenced to death. Authorities became aware of Ahmad al-Shamri in 2014 after he uploaded a series of videos reflecting his views on social media. He was subsequently arrested on charges of atheism and blasphemy, faced trial, and was sentenced to death in February 2015. Al-Shamri is reportedly in his early 20s and comes from the city of Hafar al-Batin, located in Saudi Arabia's eastern province. The defendant initially pleaded insanity, saying that he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol when he made the comments. Hala Dosari, an advisory board member of Human Rights Watch, told the Washington Post. She added that, quote, his trial focused heavily on Quranic law and little on any mitigating mental illness. As a result, al-Shamri has been sentenced to death for being an atheist. It says, according to Amnesty International, the Gulf oil giant carried out at least 154 executions in 2016. The country has been habitually criticized by human rights groups over its human rights record, but is still a member of the UN's Human Rights Council. Its term expires in 2019. So, one of the obvious most biggest hypocrisies there is, just the biggest hypocrisies there possibly could be. They're literally executing people for expressing their religious beliefs or lack of religious beliefs, and they're literally executing them. 154 people were executed in Saudi Arabia back in 2016, but yet somehow Saudi Arabia is on the UN Human Rights Council. And this is something that's completely ridiculous, and they should be removed immediately. And it looks like their term expires in 2019. I'm hoping that they don't get on it, because that's, again, something that's completely disgusting. Now, here's something funny that I thought, it says, after a lengthy appeals process, Saudi Arabia's Supreme Court ruled against al-Shamri on Tuesday. What's the point of having a Supreme Court if there's no need? Like, I don't understand that. Like, the irony of a Supreme Court ruling, I know that they have to go by their laws, but when you think of a court system and a judicial system of justice, the fact that someone's being sentenced to death for atheism, which, again, freedom of religion, secularism, is one of the main tenets of any democracy or a separations of power, especially government separation of powers like this one, whereas the Supreme Court, the idea of even having a Supreme Court, if you're just going to uphold these ridiculously undemocratic or, these values that are put in basically to every government that has separation of powers, is remarkable to me. And the fact that we're so buddy-buddy with Saudi Arabia and that we're selling these goons weapons on annually, and that they're committing essentially a genocide in Yemen is fucking ridiculous. And Saudi Arabia just fucking sucks. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but there needs to be a lot of reform that goes on. And I'm not sure if I think this man was claiming mental illness, of course, just because he's worried about what's going to happen, which is being fucking executed. But I don't know why anybody isn't talking about this, though. How Mike Pence just came out recently saying the U.S. is real against dictators and stuff like that. But you're literally in support of a government that executes people for being atheists. 154 executions in 2016. Secularism is a key tenet of the United States of America, and it should be of any functioning democracy whatsoever, or any government with any form of separations of powers at all. And the fact that we're supporting them not only shows the massive hypocrisy, but it exposes them for what they really are. I mean, you guys have seen the photos of Steve Bannon and the fucking little orb that there is, the orb that looks like the orb in Dragon Ball Z. So, fuck Saudi Arabia, and there needs to be massive reforms. And, I'm hoping that this guy receives justice, but I don't see how it could possibly happen.